So I'm sick as a dog, and it's driving me absolutely insane. I actually can't wait to feel better because this completely sucks. It's messing up everything that I had planned for this week. And then I have some awesome news along with this bad news of being sick. But
Told you not to call here. It's not for sale. Quit texting me and aggravating.
so during the whole 30-day challenge, my absolute main priority was to film everything that I did within 30 days of actual marketing and wholesaling, not including the junk, the in-between junk, I should say, like, weekends where nothing happened, or days that I'm like literally just running around and nothing's happening as far as putting any type of effort into my business. And excuse me again for sounding like crap. My daughter just went back to school and she brought home, a new virus for everybody to catch. Thank God it's only like a head cold. It's not severely crippling, but still, man, I'm having a hard time concentrating or doing anything throughout the day. So you guys got to see the whole 30 days unfold, how it went down, what I spent on marketing, how many people we touched, how much went into all of it. All of those efforts paid off, finally. Yesterday we had our first closing, which was one of the first properties that we picked up under contract during the challenge. So that first property that we picked up was off of calling an old list. Called the old list, this lady, we have contacted her several times. She never even picked up the phone. And then all of a sudden her husband passed away and she finally ended up picking up the phone saying, yes, I'm interested in selling. We finally closed on that house yesterday. And then the other house, that it was a house and a lot, that also came from one of our old follow-ups. We're actually closing on that finally today. Really happy and excited about that because now, got them closed. No more having to worry about them and we can move on to the next stuff. I was able to assign the lot that you guys saw in the last video. I assigned it, I think about maybe a day or two later after posting it. And now it's gonna go to the closing table probably in a week or two from now. They're still gonna wait on a survey. And I think that's about it. Other than that, that was like, that's awesome that we were able to close those two deals. Or that one deal and the second one's closing today. Makes me happy because now we don't have to worry about putting any more time into it, even though they didn't really take too much time. And that is definitely the good news. Now the bad news is I'm sick. I'm super sick. I've actually haven't been staying on top of my marketing, but at the same time, I'm still like answering text messages and stuff like that. I'm just not talking to anybody because obviously listen to how I sound like a train wreck and I don't want people to hear me like that. Also, I was actually supposed to speak in front of a crowd of people today and that's not going to happen now because I'm sick. Now, the good thing is, of course, I don't have COVID. I got a rapid test done yesterday. The results were negative. My daughter, when she was first feeling sick, I made sure I had her tested. She was negative as well. So, I know it's not COVID, but it's just another whatever, disease or virus is floating around out there. The normal stuff before COVID. I got 2 tests done yesterday, so my rapid test came out negative, and I'm pretty sure my cultured test will probably come out negative too. Who knows? But yeah, that's really, about it as far as that goes. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys about not so much doing too much, but also how to schedule yourself out a little bit. Especially when you're a one-man show, it's kind of hard to juggle all the aspects of wholesaling. And when I mean juggle all the aspects, you're the guy who's marketing, you're the guy who's picking these properties up in the contract, you're also the guy that's going to go see these properties, then you're the guy that also has to, sell the contract, then you're the guy that also has to coordinate the closing, you're also the guy that has to follow up with all these people, and you're the guy that has to make sure that you don't overspend everything. So there's like 7 jobs there. So in order to bring a balance to your life, you need to schedule out what you're gonna do at certain times and how you're gonna do it. This was a thing that kind of like, it leads back to consistency, but also it's something I've learned even now recently, how to like kind of find ways to do less work and be lazy, I'm just kidding, not be lazy, but find time to do less work and put aside time for certain tasks. So recently, you guys saw in the 30-day challenge that I had decided I was going to roll over to REI Reply and start using them for my text messaging versus using the text messaging service I was using before. Now, REI Reply doesn't only do text messaging, they also have, like a call rail type interface with telephone numbers, as well as they also have, ringless voicemail, text messaging, and it's an entire CRM system. So what I did was I divided everything up. So now instead of me having to create a campaign every time I want to send a text message out, I have one big campaign that goes over a couple of days, and it spreads out over a long period of time. I won't go into details too much on like why I chose this style, on how I set all this up, just because it's a lot. The way that I set this campaign up is every phone number can only send out about 100 actions to 200 actions per day before the phone companies flag you as spam. So what I did was I put that I want 80 people to go into this campaign every day out of a big list. Like I'll have like 400 or 500 people that are gonna get sent a text message. And what I'll do is I'll put them in every day. 80 are gonna go into the system over a period of time. So instead of sending like all the text messages at once per phone number, I have it to where it'll literally drip a text message once every 5 minutes or once every 3 minutes. And what it'll do is it gives me enough time to reply when people are actually texting in. And also I know what designated hours I have set aside that I know I gotta answer either ringless voicemails or text messaging. Because as they go into this text messaging campaign, they're gonna get 3 text messages, and then they're gonna be put into another campaign, which is gonna be 2 RVMs. And the reason why that works for me, at least, I know that it takes about 3 or 4 times before somebody actually answers a text message. Sometimes it takes even longer. I've had people that I've texted them over 20 times, and then they'll answer me on the 21st text message, no, I'm not the owner. It's like, could have saved me, I don't know, like $1 by just answering the first time and telling me, hey, I'm not the owner, or where I don't have to bother texting you, ringless voicemail you, and cold call you. Just tell me off the back, yeah, I'm not the owner. But yeah, enough about that. So they're gonna go 3 text messages, 2 RVMs, and what it'll do is it'll drip over a certain amount of time. So like I said, once every 5 minutes. And what I do is I do it over a 3-hour time span. That way in 3 hours, I don't have, like before, let's go back to before. Before I would send out like 1,000 text messages within 10 minutes or within an hour. And man, was that like total freaking train wreck. What would happen is that like I'd have so many people coming in, and then I'd miss text messages, and I'd go back to old text messages, then trying to conversate with other people, and it was just like, oh my god, why did I do this to myself? And then I started doing like a slower drip over a certain amount of time, and it started working. And the text messaging system I was using before was pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I noticed that there was certain bugs that would happen, like where certain messages wouldn't show up and certain people would reply back and I wouldn't see anything, or I would reply back to other people and it wouldn't come up anymore. That's the reason why I went over to REI Reply. And back to what I'm talking about, what this whole part is as far as scheduling yourself out. Schedule times over a certain amount of time, how you're gonna interact or contact these people. If it takes me a whole week to get through a list of say about 1,000 people, at least in that week I know that text messages and RVMs went out to all these people over a certain amount of time. It went out slowly as not to stretch me or my team thin, because I know that eventually I'm going to start adding more and more and more and more, to where now my team can successfully follow through and actually interact with these people. That way also, they're not fighting each other on who gets what, and just whatever happens in that aspect. Then it also gives me a set time of when things are happening, and then we cold call in the afternoon. Then I also have only a set number of people that I'm contacting in this time frame. And the reason why I do that, I have a lot of leads. I have like almost 5,000 now that I'm contacting consistently, which comes down to like 20,000 phone numbers. You cannot hit everybody in 1 month at one time. It's just not, even if you did one touch to everybody, it doesn't work well because sometimes they won't answer you on the first phone call or the second or the third. But if you call them enough times in a week or two, they're gonna be like, who the heck is this guy and why does he keep calling me? And then he's gonna pick up, and then you can start a conversation with them however or wherever that leads, whether it turns into an actual deal or it turns into, I'm not interested. Whatever it is, at least you're getting to talk to people. Same reason why I text them so many times in a week's time period. My text messages go out once every 2 days. Let's say, they get the first text message, then 2 days later they get the second text message, then 2 days later they get the third text message, then 3 days later they get the RVM. 3 days after that they get the second RVM. And then after that it's gonna go into cold calling, and we're gonna cold call it 5 times. That way, that list of people, however much or however little it is, they get all their touches. I accomplish 2 things with that. Number 1, I'm finding leads. Number 2, I'm scrubbing out the not interested, the people who are clearly, I'm not interested in selling, I don't want to sell, don't talk to me anymore, don't call me. I don't want to keep contacting those people because it's going to piss somebody off and I'm going to end up with a lawsuit, and then I'm going to be like, the troubles of wholesaling. But that's how you gotta kind of schedule yourself out, because if not, you're gonna be like pulling your hair out, wondering why you're not getting deals, why you're not getting leads. You'll be able to kind of like create a system of how you're working. Now for me, what I do is I handle all of the marketing. I reply to the most of the text messages and the callbacks. My partner is focusing on all the follow-ups. We have our own set tasks. He's really good at it. So like his main focus is the follow-ups and my main focus is the actual marketing. So I keep the deals coming in. He keeps the deals updated and finding out who's ready to sell right now or not. And then, we both coordinate the closing aspect of it. My cold caller, his main focus is only to call. I don't give him any other extra tasks because both of them, I have another cold caller too now. We have 2 now. Their only focus is finding and qualifying people. I don't teach them anything else because I want them to focus on that first, and then baby steps we'll add in another task. Then another time we'll add in another task. That way they can also end up to the same stage as my partner, which is following up with their own leads, versus my partner going through everybody's leads, including mine, and following up with them. He's really good at it, and I'll tell you what, having a partner is amazing. But other than that, it gives us all, like our own set thing to do, and concentrate on one thing, because when you're doing so much, especially you being a solopreneur, you're doing this on your own, it's really hard to juggle all those tasks on your own, and you really have to set aside time for everything. Literally, let's say you market 4 days out of the week and then you spend 1 day with just straight follow-ups on Fridays. Or for me, best days follow-ups is Wednesday, Thursday. People are still busy working, expecting phone calls. Friday, not really. And Monday, they don't want to deal with anybody. Mondays is, everybody has a case of the Mondays. For me, Monday is just another day. It brings, if anything, I'm excited for Mondays to come because I get to start my marketing and stuff. Schedule yourself out. Don't stretch yourself too thin, and focus on small parts first. Then that way you can eat the whole pie. You can't eat a whole pie by yourself. You probably could, but it would be a really bad idea. Probably lots of diarrhea involved. I don't know, but sounds like I'm speaking from experience. But you can't eat the whole pie. You got to eat the pie in slices. So when you're hitting all of your leads, group them into groups and then literally just, attack them all. Like all the driving for dollars lists that I have, I don't attack everybody at once. We'd be sitting here wondering who the heck got hit and who didn't. So what I do is I group everybody into certain sessions. Like, an old driving for dollars, I'll put everybody in there. That's why when I go driving for dollars, I won't drive right away and then skip trace the list. I'll drive and then I'll keep driving until I get a certain amount of people, like 1,000 or 2,000. Then I'll go back, scrub the list, see if anybody's in my system, and then create another list with, that. It ends up shrinking down to probably like 1,000 or 800 people. That way you know, I'm just concentrating on these people versus concentrating on the entire database, which I would be, you know, driving myself crazy. I hope that you guys found some type of, you know, real information out of this, that it might stir something up in you to kind of like change a little bit of what you're doing. Don't do too much, and it's good to be zealous and ambitious and want to hit everybody all at once. But when you're starting out by yourself, it's hard to do it all by yourself, if that makes any sense. Because, you know, there's only so many people you can attack at one time. It's kind of like, it's going back to direct mail. You know, yeah, you could probably send out about 1,000 mail pieces right now and spend $1,000, but can you keep repeating it? Because if you can only send out one batch of mail to 1,000 people, you're not gonna make any money. It's just, it doesn't ever work out when you do it just once. But then, you send out 100 pieces of mail to 100 people, and you keep sending those 100 people 100 pieces of mail every month. You'll spend $1,000 in 10 months, but you will get everybody touched multiple times to where they're gonna call in, they're gonna tell you we're not interested, or like, you know, what happened to me, I got one deal. Out of mailing 250 people consistently every single month for about 8 months, she hit me back on the 4th mailer. She kept 2 of the mailers to show me that I hit her with mail. She even told me, I even got a voicemail from you, and I got a couple phone calls from you. And I'm like, why didn't you pick up my phone call instead of making me waste money with mail? But you have to hit people when it's convenient for them. It doesn't matter what you want. Yeah, so I hope you guys found this thing informative. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this ramble short. You know me, I love rambling on and rambling on and rambling on about, you know, wholesaling, because I love wholesaling. I love what I do. I find excitement sharing what I do. Not to flex or anything, but I want you guys to be as enthusiastic as I am. And also I want you guys to know that your failures, you guys aren't the only ones that went through them. I went through them too. You know, all this stuff that I'm talking about is all literally from experience. So it's not that I think that you're, you know, there's something wrong with you and that's why this is happening to you. This happens to everybody. So guys, I'll catch you guys later, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next vlog.